Awesome.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm always walking the runway in my dreams. I am Trey, and I'm joined by my co-host, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi. Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm perpetually posing with my pet zebra.
Ah, yes.
I don't
How
know.
dare you? Zebra, zebra, zebra.
Is there a... I can't make a Z with my hands very well. Is there a...
Is there like,
How do
is
I...
there a look that's just like called posing with the zebra? Like there's blue steel, but is there like posing with the zebra?
We need to figure this out. We'll get that back. We'll get back to you about that, Dixie.
Speaking of, Emily, would you do the honors of introducing our fantastic guest tonight?
Absolutely, I would. Today we are... so sorry. Today we are chatting with a world-renowned, amazing photographer and director, Dixie Dixon. Thank you for joining us, Dixie.
Thank you for having me. Such an honor to be here. You guys are a blast.
Thank you. We've
you.
had a little fun chatting backstage already. And yeah, it's been great. This is going to be a fun episode.
Yes. So excited.
Dixie, I think the first thing that I want to ask, and it's what we ask a lot of our guests right off the bat.
Yeah.
We know you as a photographer and a director, and so you are very experienced when it comes to the camera, but we want to know about your origin story. How did you get into photography?
Yeah. The origin story. I like how you put that. It sounds way more interesting than just a bio. You know what I mean?
Because you're a superhero, so you get an origin story.
Ooh, that's amazing. Very, very grateful. So I'm an only child. So I grew up, without siblings. I had pets, and literally figured out ways to entertain myself when I was little. And one of the ways was actually photographing, like, stuffed animals in groupings for a calendar. I was always like photographing friends and family, pets, animals, dogs, cats, anything that I could get in front of on camera, I was photographing just with my little point and shoot camera. And it just kind of grew. Like, I love looking through magazines. And my senior year of high school, I ended up, I was actually in band. I was a saxophonist. And one day during marching band, there was a director that was directing everything. He was like really hardcore, really mean kind of personality. And I misstepped and I ran smack dab into a tuba player, and it was like domino effects, the whole band. Like, I messed up the entire situation that was going on. It was a huge band. There was probably 100 of us. And
Wow.
he kind of fired me after that. So I was like, you know what? I got to get out of marching band. I'm going to join the yearbook staff to get out of marching band. So I ended up joining the yearbook staff and took a darkroom class and totally fell in love with it. So I guess I can honestly thank that band director that I'm now in photography. So then, let's see, I went off to college, wanted to major in business because I figured I really need to know the business side of things in order to actually make a living at photography. So I majored in entrepreneurship and then minored in art. And on the weekends, I was shooting weddings and assisting weddings and shooting portraits. And then I studied abroad my senior year with a world-renowned fashion photographer in London and Prague, and that was when I decided that's what I need to do for a living. I just completely fell in love with it. So that's what I have been doing ever since. It's crazy because when you go out and shoot something that you love, it's a little intimidating. You don't know if you can actually make a living doing it. And so my very end of college, I ended up applying for an investment firm job. I ended up getting the job, but then my mentor told me at the time, he said, Dixie, if you want to pursue art and photography for a living, now is the time to do it before you get locked in a lifestyle. So I ended up turning down that investment firm job and going straight into shooting. And actually, that mentor, I photographed his daughter's wedding, and that was one of my very first gigs as a photographer. So Yeah, I've been doing it ever since. I haven't had a normal job my whole life, really. So grateful for that. Grateful for that.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That is awesome.
Well, we were talking to Zachary James a couple of weeks ago, who got his big break, or like one of the breaks that continues to be forthcoming, and he got the news while reaching for a bag of peas. And now we can add to like fun stories of you got your start with toppling a tuba over and causing a domino effect.
Exactly.
But that is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like studying in London and Prague?
Oh my goodness. It was such a dream, such a dream. I applied for the program. It was a summer program, and it was through Syracuse University, and I
Mhm.
was the only southerner in the program, and at the time I had a really thick accent. I don't know how I've kind of gotten rid of the very Texas accent, but um, they kind of all got a kick out of that. And I was teaching them line dancing and everything. And it was a very fun experience. But yeah, I got to work with that fashion photographer, and his name is Jeff Licata. Just such an amazing, amazing photographer. He shot for like Calvin Klein and Valentino and Vogue and all those big brands. So he was definitely the guy to learn from. And the other teacher on the program, Doc Mason, was also an amazing photographer. So um, it was quite the experience. I remember when all the other students were out partying and stuff, I was like in the dark room or just deeply engulfed in photography. It's always been my total passion. So
You can tell.
Awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, it's been fun.
So you've done quite a few different varieties of fashion photography from, you know, in all over the world as well. You
Yeah.
travel everywhere. A couple of them have been with really interesting animals.
Yes.
And so I want to know about that.
Yes. Sorry, my hat keeps falling off. I don't know why. Yeah. My favorite animal was definitely Gerald the giraffe. Amazing, amazing creature. And he's probably one of my most favorite shots I think I've taken, just because, man, it was such a dream shoot. We had the model in giraffe print dress, and her name's Carson. She's a total sport. And Gerald was the total ham. You know, he was just like posing and doing his thing as we were photographing, and just looping his neck around her to frame her in the shot. And after the shoot, it was funny because, well, it really kind of wasn't funny at the time, but I accidentally left two of my lenses in the giraffe cage, just kind of on the edge, hidden. And I didn't realize the giraffes were going to be back there while we went to change hair and makeup and stuff. And I came back and my lenses were gone. So I was freaking out because I thought Gerald ate the lenses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just thought, oh no, if I hurt this giraffe in any way, I will feel like the most terrible person ever. But it was crazy. So we were just searching around the cage where the giraffe, ran and everything, and couldn't find it. And finally we found the lens. It was like, it's a huge fence. So we found it on the other side of the fence in a little pail of water, chewed on a little bit. So it's like Gerald had just chewed on it a little bit and just launched it over the fence, and it landed in this pail of water.
Wow.
And we were like, wow, Gerald, that was a $2,000 lens you just chewed on, buddy. Yeah. So that was it was worth the shot, though. Worth it. Nikon actually was able to fix that lens, believe it or not.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, that's a testament to Nikon cameras and lenses.
They can even hold up to drafts.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, that was such a fun shoot. And then Gerald has since, because these are orphan animals that this owner has adopted, and he adopted a female giraffe.
Okay.
So they got married. Gerald and Harriet are married, and they just had a baby Joy.
Oh, I love that.
sweet. I just am obsessed with them. So
Yeah.
cute giraffe family.
Were you asked to photograph that wedding?
I wish I were. That would have been amazing. I'll have to ask him.
Shoot their little baby pictures.
Yes, yes. The baby Joy. Man, to see a baby giraffe try to run with those legs, those long legs, is just like, talk about joy. I mean, just pure joy in its face. Is so fun to watch.
That's awesome.
Very cute. Yeah,
Not something we see here every day, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Me either. It's pretty amazing.
Earlier in the episode, when Emily was talking about posing with the zebras,
Yes.
so it was also kind of a reference to some of the shots that you've done with zebras.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Actually, it was the same ranch that we shot the zebras. And we showed up, and I actually thought the zebras were going to be a lot bigger than they were. I guess there was some breed of zebra that was quite small. So the model towered over the zebras, which was pretty interesting. But they were pretty chill. Its name was Zach, and I can't remember the other one's name, but they were very cool to work with. We had the model in a zebra print dress and just posing with the zebras, and we shot for probably all day. I like to do all day shoots. My shoots are never like an hour, 2 hours. They're always all day. Because once I get shooting, I cannot stop. I love it. Love it so much.
Well, and you never, like, I feel like when, at least when I'm shooting, it takes everybody some time to kind of get in the groove and get comfortable. And then after that, the magic starts to happen.
Exactly. You're so right.
So
it's very, very true. It's like takes everyone, like you said, just a little bit of time to kind of acclimate with everybody and get comfortable. And yeah, so same with the animals. They took a little while to warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't shot with too many animals, but horses do for sure. They take a while to warm up to the idea of, especially if there's like flowing fabric or something like distracting or annoying to them.
Absolutely. So true. Yeah, we've shot with longhorns.
Oh,
wow. Mountain lions.
Ooh, that's cool.
What?
Ooh, that was scary. It, they had it on a chain link, not a chain link, but just like a big heavy duty leash. But I remember they took it out of the area that we were shooting because it was starting to get a little bit nervous, and it hissed at me on the way out. I think all the hair stand up on top of my head when that happened.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. Oh my goodness. So it's definitely a fun project.
Yeah. There was this idea I had a long time ago, because I've done a few I've been to a few fashion weeks where my clothing was what walked the runway. And amazing. I have a history in costuming and fashion. So it was really fun, and like at the time, like you have the freedom to decide what you want to do during the show. Like one of the shows we did, we partnered with Opera Carolina, and there were like actual opera singers singing during the show, which was really cool. Live music is awesome.
Do you have this on video?
Yeah, that's on, I think it's on the Opera Recycles YouTube page.
Wow,
otherwise I'll send it to you. Yeah, it was really neat. Did this whole it was awesome. And cool. I'm sorry,
I said that's so cool because it's like you're merging fashion, music, and art all together.
It was I was very lucky to be there. And so we threw, my business partner at the time, we'd throw ideas back and forth, and we'd build on each other, and it'd escalate. So we had a couple ideas, and one of them was to have like mountain lions that would walk the runway like with us at the end, because part of it was to kind of also like we had no reason to walk the runway as the designers, but like the designer usually walks out at the end and like waves.
Right. Absolutely.
They wear all black or whatever and try to, and I'm a little nervous doing that, but I would, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a memorable and impactful way. I believe in wow factor, so that's what we want to do. I want to walk out with I want to be flanked by mountain lions, and
That's amazing.
yeah, and so we never did that because mountain lions, but
A little scary.
yeah, but we always talked about how great an idea that would be.
That would have been amazing. Amazing. You wanted a grand entrance. I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
what we could have done is done something with Siegfried and Roy and coordinate all of those white tigers. And instead of them coming out, you just kind of walk out with the white tigers, and that's your entrance.
Right.
I love that.
Right. And I would not get mauled. I just know it.
Just don't keep snacks in your pocket.
No snacks. No crumbs from snacks either.
I could just see Emily up on stage. Bad Sasha, no.
No, down.
You get treats after the show.
Seriously, 'cause I always keep snacks in my pocket, so I, gotta be careful.
That's wonderful.
For sure. I actually was dying to shoot with an elephant on the last Nikon production that we did.
Yeah.
But I reached out to a company who, lets you rent the elephants. You wouldn't believe how much it costs to rent an elephant. 30 grand.
That's way more than I thought it would be. Yes.
I thought maybe 10. 10
Is that in the U.S.?
That was to have it in Texas.
Okay.
I guess there was some ranch with elephants around here, but they were not cheap.
Wow.
Not in the budget, but unfortunately. Yeah.
That's
half our
yeah.
budget. Mhm.
I can't think of any better solutions to that other than
So we ended up with camels instead.
yeah, just camels. The other elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Actually. Camels very much. So yeah.
What?
Actually, it was funny because that ranch that we shot at, the owner of those animals, other than the camels, only has black and white animals because that's her color scheme in her house. And she wanted them to match the house that she was living in. So all her animals, whether they're horses, llamas, cows, longhorns, they're all black and white. I was like, that's amazing. She has color scheme.
That idea never entered my mind until now. Wow.
Me either. It's very interesting. She's very creative. Yeah. Very interesting sort.
Trey looks kind of blown away there.
A little bit, and there's a lot mulling around in my brain right now. I just have one point to make. There are two places that if you ever decide to shoot with potentially wild animals, there is a preserve up here in north part of Charlotte, technically in Salisbury, North Carolina. It's called Tiger World. They have a lot of animals that, kind of similar to the ranch, they bring on that have either been in a zoo before or are orphaned. And so they try to give them as natural an existence as they possibly can, but then they also open it up for people to come and view, similar to a zoo, but view them in a more natural kind of environment. So they have that up in Salisbury, and then there's also I forget what the conservatory is, but it is a wolf conservatorship that is on the eastern part of North Carolina, and they have wolves that have been somewhat domesticated enough for people to interact with them. They apparently are really friendly and act more like puppies whenever they get domesticated. It's so cute, but their fur is so dense.
Why haven't we been there? Why have I never heard of that?
No, that's a trip.
I used to live out there, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I found them on Twitter. It was like a random follow. I started seeing I liked a whole lot of these wolf posts for things, and then this place just kind of popped up as one of the recommended places to follow, and it was just like, oh yeah, sure. And then it was just like cute pic after cute picture after cute picture, and it just. I'm sorry. It happened. I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. You're fired.
Done.
My life is over. But seriously, but along those same lines of like doing photography, what have been some of the photo shoots that you're most proud of?
Ooh. It's always those shoots where I had to overcome a lot of fear to do. Um, and it's so funny because sometimes it's not even the final images that are my favorite shoots. It was the process of creating and everything, like going over, pushing past that fear. Like one of them was it was actually the Nikon D850 filmmakers kit, the advertising campaign for that. I'd never shot video before, and so they wanted us to roll in there and just immediately shoot video basically with their new camera they were releasing. And I was crazy nervous, but we actually shot in Hawaii, and they had us in helicopters, like filming out of the side of a helicopter.
Cool.
With this and seat belted in, the whole door is off the helicopter, and we're looking down filming these cool volcanoes. It was definitely a surreal moment, but those are the moments that I live for in this business, because it's like you just never would have guessed you would be up in a helicopter just filming volcanoes. Just never would have guessed it. And the end result turned out really cool. We made a couple of short films, and turned out really neat. Nikon was happy, and man, we got to shoot for 10 days in the Big Island of Hawaii. Yeah, it was such a fun shoot. So many like those. We shot in Brazil, so many. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Was your fear the hanging out of the helicopter part, or was it volcanoes?
It was actually neither of those. I was cool with all that. I'm very much adrenaline junkie. It was the wanting to make sure, since I'd never shot video before, that I was going to be able to deliver quality stuff that they were needing, and that I didn't like fail on that job. That was my
Sure.
fears.
Yeah, valid.
I'm all good with the jumping out of airplanes and all
awesome.
That. Yeah.
I will give you my next ticket to go skydiving. You have at it. In those moments, you don't know me, Emily.
I don't know you.
Dixie, when you have those moments where you're overcoming fear and things, what do you tell yourself in those moments?
Ooh. I always think of the feeling that I'm going to have after I do the thing, because I don't know, I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, our world kind of teaches us lately to like bow down to that fear and not push through it. But a lot of times you get the most huge life-changing moments of your life when you kind of push through that fear and do stuff anyways. And so anytime I'm given an opportunity that I may not think I'm prepared for, I always say yes, and I figure it out along the way, because either way, you're gonna land somehow, and you're gonna either make it a lesson or one big, insane, amazing experience. So that's kind of how I've tended to look at things when I, have to overcome that fear. The other fear mine was of public speaking. Believe it or not, that was a huge fear, maybe even more than the helicopter job. Man, because I enjoy the interview scenario, but having to get up on stage and speak for like Nikon and some of these companies that I work with, it's I just remember being so incredibly nervous. But anytime I would get finished with one, I'd be like, okay, I did it, I got that done. But I don't think the nervousness that I work goes away. At least it hasn't for me. I just
No, Like I've done stage things, and I've done like probably more than 100 different auditions through all the stuff that I did. Or like as soon as that curtain starts to come rise on a performance, that adrenaline never goes away. You
Yeah.
just kind of learn to kind of manage it and just go, all right, let's do this. And then you get into it and you're like, I'm good. I'm good.
Exactly. It's so well said. So well said. Stage is a whole different animal. I made a C in acting in college. I was a terrible actor. Terrible. I'm behind the scenes. Always behind the scenes. So.
That is a-okay.
But
From some of the shots that you've got, like those are incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, acting's a whole other animal, I feel like, but it's definitely it's such an art, and to be able to bring on the persona of whoever you're, acting as. So definitely a huge art, and I have a huge appreciation for it.
Absolutely. Well, with you and directing, you are still bringing art to life in and of itself. So while that stage may be recorded through your lens, you are still bringing that stage to countless different audiences. So please, while they are somewhat different, there are so many commonalities between them. So please don't discount the incredible work that you're also doing.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. It's like different art forms. We find our niche.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think other artists appreciate art. I can't say better because I don't believe in that, but I think differently because you understand maybe a little more about what it takes.
Yeah, definitely. Out there in that way.
How much I've wondered this after seeing like some of the the giraffe pictures and things like that. And some of the real creative ones, I wondered how much creative control you end up getting to have.
Yeah. I mean, with the giraffe stuff, that's all personal work. So, I get to create and have fun doing that. Yeah, that's like the dream. Is when a client gives you that and pays for it, right? Some clients do. Sometimes I do get the luxury to have clients just kind of trust my vision and get to run with it. I had a company. Have you ever heard of Poopery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They have all those viral bathroom spray videos and everything, and I got to direct one of their commercials. And I actually pitched them the idea before the shoot, and they loved the idea and let me run with it and created this whole black and white commercial, and ended up winning an advertising award, which was really exciting because it was like, oh, that was cool because that was a personal vision I got to see come full circle and come to life, because usually you have clients that are nitpicking every like piece of the process. That's pretty typical in the advertising space. So it's nice when you get some creative control for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's a commercial I've seen. So for our audience, can you say what, I guess if they look for the black and white commercial?
Yeah, it's called Pretty.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I think it cut out.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It's called Privy. And Privy was the high-end version of bathroom spray as opposed to just the Poopery spray, because it's made with like essential oils and whatnot. So yeah, it's that black and white commercial that
awesome.
I got to direct. Yeah.
Well, congratulations belatedly on that award.
Appreciate that very much. It was definitely a dream shoot.
Yeah.
So,
you mentioned a moment ago of getting lots of feedback and like nitpicking and those sorts of things. And I'm sure that you've received countless amounts of feedback on your photography or on your directorial projects.
Yeah.
How do you, to kind of a two-part question, how do you deal with that feedback? And then how do you decide which feedback to listen to and when to tell people to go take a long walk off a short cliff?
When do you fire them?
Fire them. So basically, Nancy, she's an amazing producer. She produces all of my shoots. So she basically, I'll choose the model. She'll book the models. She'll do all the invoicing, accounting, food on set, all the kind of like logistical details she handles. So if there needs to be someone that needs to be escorted off set, I just have to let Nancy know, and she will escort them off set in a very sweet way. We've actually had that happen pretty recently.
I was going to say, you're talking about it like it has happened.
Yes, it definitely has happened. Definitely has happened. A couple of times we've had models show up and they were pretty intoxicated. It hasn't happened often. It's like, and then one I think was on some kind of amazing drug. I'm not sure what they were on, but they were very, very intense. Yeah, so Nancy took care of that and handled it in a very nice way, and thankfully,
all right, I'm friends with a bunch of models because of the fashion side of things, and I just want to say to all the models out there that I've worked with, thank you. Thank you for not showing up drunk or high. Thank you so much for being amazing, and also for the rest of you. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Don't mess it up with that nonsense. What in the world?
Serious. But yeah. Very, very true. Very true. So yeah, my whole career only had that happen like 2 or 3 times. So very rare. We actually had a model once show up on set and she was sucking on a lollipop and she chipped her tooth right before we started shooting. I'm laughing. It's terrible.
How unfortunate.
I know. And it was a huge chip in her tooth. She's like, oh my goodness. So she had to go to the dentist and we had to have a sub come in.
Oh.
I know. She was bummed out.
That is really unfortunate.
I know. I'm like, dang, how do you chip your tooth that easy? That's crazy. But so crazy experiences. You never know. We definitely have a lot of good casting calls. It looks like, oh, Sandra, hi. Thanks for having me. She says, do you have a casting call and how do you choose your models? Yeah, so usually the client will basically give us a rundown of what kind of models they're looking for, their height, their ethnicity, all these different elements. And then we'll send that out to the modeling agencies, and then the modeling agencies will send them to our casting call. And then I just kind of like to ask a lot of different questions about themselves when they come into the casting call, just to kind of get an idea for who they are. And I like to give people a big hug when they walk in the door. So if they give me one of those awkward side hugs, I know they're going to be hard to work with because they're going to take so long to open up. But the people that are like all jolly and just fully like give me a big bear hug, I know they're going to be super easy to photograph because they're very open. So that's
an interesting icebreaker to start. Like, I mean, the fact that you know how they're going to be based on that is kind of amazing. But I could see why that would work.
Yeah.
Do you ever have models refuse to hug you then? Like, this is not for me?
Sometimes, every once in a while, and I totally respect that. I just know that like for these advertising shoots, they have to be out there and like on because we're on such a time schedule. So the folks that are more into it and just connect instantly are going to be the ones that are going to be a lot easier to shoot. So that's kind of how I gauge it.
Yeah.
It's a little key. I guess it would be weird. Like, I mean, I'm just, maybe that would be weird for some photographers, but I'm such a hugger. So maybe it's natural to me to use that type of, I guess, test. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're real and genuine, and you're very likable. So I could see why. I mean, at least for me, I won't speak for Trey, maybe. But at least for me, like that would be no big deal. But I don't know. That's interesting. Aren't you glad I didn't do that to any of the applicants at the store we used to work at, Trey?
Hi, applicant. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to start off with an icebreaker. I'm going to give you a big bear hug.
I don't announce it like that. That's really
I was going to say, do you just...
That's hysterical when it sounds announced.
And now for the next part of your interview.
I'm giving you a big bear hug. Love it.
And then like the follow-up questions of like if this was an interview, like, and on a scale of 1 to 5, how was my huggability? And how would you rate your own huggability?
The worst. That's when you look on like glassdoor.com or something and you see those like interview questions and you're like, this was the most ridiculous.
That's amazing. Huggability. I love that. I'm just going to add that to the list.
Huggability is kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah. I need a big bear hug.
That's great.
Really funny. So we did not do that during the whole, Rona stuff. The past couple of years, that wouldn't have gone over well, I don't imagine. Oh,
that's great. Do you ultimately get to choose then the model?
Sometimes I get to choose the model. Other times we'll give the client recommendations and then they will end up choosing the model. Sometimes they go with my recommendations and then sometimes they don't.
Sure.
Always like it when they go with my recommendations.
Of course.
Yeah. And especially if I've worked with the models before and I already know how they move and how they work.
Yeah. That's helpful.
For sure. Yes.
What are some of your inspirations? Like you're going to a photo shoot that you get to design. What are some of the inspirations that you bring to your photo shoots?
For every shoot that I do a mood board. And so I'll find different photos from magazines, showcasing the hair I'm looking for, the makeup I'm looking for, the posing that I'm looking for, and then I put it all together in a cork board. And I actually do this for life goals too. Like I do one yearly, a vision board yearly, just to get my goals all out on a, cork board so I can see it and kind of basically go over it every day and kind of get my goals going. But I do one for every shoot, and that kind of gets the whole team on the same page so that we can all go in and create, and we know what our final outcome somewhat kind of wants to look like. We're not looking to copy any of the shots, just bits and pieces to bring together. So yeah,
like inspiration. Yeah.
So I get them from magazines, locations, travel, other photographers' work. Sometimes I like to study the older photographers that shot film, like Richard Avedon and Irving Penn and all those greats to study. And I kind of get inspiration from everywhere. Just kind of inspires each shoot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever get inspired during a shoot? Like, what would look good right now is if we did this instead. Oh,
definitely. Like we'll have a happy accident happen. Like for instance, if it starts raining or something, and then we're like, ooh, well now let's, instead of using this as a negative, how can we make this into an even cooler shot? So we'll throw a backlight on that rain, make the rain really stand out, make it this really cool, moody, weather rain shot. So it's always a dance.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's good oh, go ahead.
Oh no, it sounds like when you've created these fashion shows, it's similar. Like you get inspired and
Yeah, it's hard to do a design change with a fashion show mid. But there have been times when like right before we'll change, and I don't really do that much anymore, but in like when I do the art photography I've learned that staying open-minded to the moment is the most beneficial, because like you said, it could rain and you can either pack up and go home, or you can go with it and magic can still happen.
Exactly. That's so well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautifully said. Because you just never know what it could turn into. Some of the favorite shots are shots that I thought everything was going wrong, and then you end up with the most epic shot you've ever created, and it's like, wow, that came together in a way I would have never been able to predict. So it's very surreal.
Relatable. Yes.
It's very
Does it happen with theater, Trey?
More than you think. You just kind of have to run with it. God, I'm trying to think. There was something that happened in college, and I don't remember what it was. Um, we're just gonna we'll come back to that story. I'll have to think of well, I'll have to think about what it was specifically so that I can give details. But I want to say that, like every show, something happens that is always just a little bit different. Actually, I do have a story. Um, I'm so sorry. And this is not from college. This is actually from something that I got paid for. And I was in a show called Psycho Beach Party. And this show in particular was just incredibly um, fun and hysterical, but also just if you ever have done the show or watched the adaptation from like 2001 ish, it is just utterly bizarre. Think Gidget meets 1990s slash early 2000s humor. It's just bananas. So anyway, in the show, I played a woman, like natural woman, done up to the whole 9 yards and everything. But the costumer could only find one kind of bra for me to look like a real woman. And it unfortunately had buttons sewn into the front of the bra, so that for a previous production, it looked like a particular anatomy on somebody. And it was the only bra that she had. And she said, all right, I'm going to find something that's a little bit more appropriate. Well, with one of the costumes and one of the lines, during one of the rehearsals in full costume, I walk out in the thing, I say my line, and the robe that I had like over top of everything just kind of like unfurled, and underneath the lights, the entire cast just starts cackling. And it turned in this just throwaway line of like, what a splendiferous morning, turned it into this sight gag that the director was like, yep, we're doing this for the entire production. Cut to 3 weeks into our run of the show, come out ready for the visual gag. Normally takes about 30 seconds for people to like calm down from the laughter because they're not expecting it. Guy in the third row, the bit happens, just goes, yes.
That's hysterical.
Yes.
So, yeah, things happen.
That's hysterical. Now the show must go on.
It does.
And now you get to live with that awesome memory.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. Love that.
Is there a place you love to travel to shoot?
Ooh.
Like go ahead.
Yeah, anywhere near a beach. I'm very much a beach girl, so anywhere near a beach. There was a place that I went to once called Florianopolis, which is a tiny little island off the coast of Brazil. Man, oh my goodness, such beautiful scenery, and the models there were just stunning. And because of the exchange rate, we were able to hire our crew and our models for like a third of the price there.
Wow.
So that was a really cool experience. But the only tricky part is none of them spoke English. And so I was struggling a little bit because I don't speak Portuguese, unfortunately. So it was tricky. Like, we had one guy on set that spoke English and Portuguese, and he would translate. So when you're trying to direct a model and you have a translator in between, everything has a buffer. So it's tough to, get in that dance a little bit. But, we made it happen. We made it work. But definitely an experience.
What is the name of that island again?
Florianopolis.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, really? It's funny. Not many people have heard of that place. And it's a long word to spell. Florianopolis. Kind of got to sound it out. Yeah.
And do they have like an airport, or do you have to go to Brazil and then
so
over?
you have to fly, into Rio, and then it was like a 24-hour adventure because I flew to Chicago first, Chicago to London, I think, London to Rio, and then Rio to Florianopolis. So it was a woo. And I remember because I was the only girl on that trip. Our whole crew was guys, and they all drank on the plane and slept the whole way, and I did not drink, and so I did not sleep the whole way. So when we got there in the very, early morning, they were all ready to go scout locations, and I hadn't had any sleep. So it was a tough production because just running on no sleep and having to get up because we would get up for the sunrise and we'd shoot all day till sunset and then do it again the next day for 10 days. So I think that's probably the most tired I've ever been. But definitely worth it. They filmed that whole shoot for a tutorial, like a fashion tutorial, and it's a 22-hour fashion tutorial on Pro EDU. So photographers, that are like looking to learn about fashion photography can check that one out. But they almost had a camera on us 24/7. So
awesome! Wow. I mean, odd.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm glad I don't have a camera on me 24/7.
I know, me too. I remember one morning I was in the shower and this little monkey crawls in the window and he's like hanging out with me. I was like, what a really interesting experience because it's all open air, and the monkeys just go right through the windows and just hang out with you while you shower.
I kind of love that though.
Yeah, it was actually kind of cool. He was just, looking for food.
Of course, in the shower.
Yeah, he was hungry. He was sure that I might have a treat for him or something.
He was. He's like, this is the girl that keeps snacks in her pocket.
Yeah. Exactly what he was thinking. They like Cheetos a lot too. We found out. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they love the cheesy. Was it the triple cheese Cheetos or something?
Oh.
I mean, can you blame them?
No. I love cheese. Cheetos. Yeah. So.
I mean, you truly have been around the world. What are some of your favorite places to visit?
Yeah, gosh. Santorini was beautiful. I want to go back there. It's funny because I was in the 6th grade when I went there. I was on a cruise, but I've been dying to go back there and shoot because they have all those beautiful, houses and things with the blue roofs and the white plaster. It's in all those big commercials you see. I think it was in a cat commercial for a long time. Fancy Feast, if you ever look at that commercial, they always have, Santorini in the background. So I definitely want to go back there and shoot someday. Positano, I've shot there. You guys heard of it?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love Italy. Loved it. We've got that cool, very colorful backdrop, just very idyllic and surreal. Yeah. Would love to go back there and shoot.
I bet the food is good too.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because all the Italians would be laughing because I couldn't figure out how I was eating all this pasta and not gaining weight. And they're like, well, it's because we don't put, chemicals in our food like you guys do. And I was like, oh man, that's before I knew about everything that the U.S. does with our food system. But I was like, dang it, why do we have gluten in our food?
I have heard their flour is different.
Yeah. So good. So good. And they always have like a garden right next to the restaurant. And then they just take things from the garden and then just cook with it. It's just it's a whole different way of doing it. It's really cool.
It's like how it should be.
Yeah, right? I wish we could go back to that.
Let's go. Let's all go.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Come on, Trey. We're going.
Okay. All right. Seth?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said yes.
I know.
I mean, why not say yes? Without saying yes to things, like we've heard earlier in the episode, we may not have like photography I may not have ever worked with you, and as a result, we may not have ever had this podcast. And so saying yes is scary, but it can also be an incredibly fulfilling thing to do. So why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It's Italy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
I had a question and it completely left my brain.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. It'll pop back. Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, go ahead.
No, you go first. You go first, then I'll ask.
Because I'm going to change the tide of
That's
this a little bit. I wanted
cool.
to know what is something that you, or what are maybe more than one thing, that's up to you, what you do to prepare your equipment and things so that you don't run into disasters like extra batteries, or is there anything that you're kind of particular about? Like for me, I'm paranoid that I'm going to run out of card space, so I bring lots, that kind of thing.
That's really good. Very helpful. I actually learned this the hard way on one of my very first campaigns that I ever shot. I had upgraded my camera and I hadn't really played with it before I got to the shoot. And I realized that the camera was setting on auto ISO. And I didn't know at the time really what that was. I mean, it's kind of easy to think about now. Auto ISO, it automatically sets your ISO. But it was automatically setting my ISO really high to like 1600. And I could not figure out how to get it off that setting. And it was so stressful. And I had these two surfer guys as assistants, and they shot a different brand of camera. And anyways, I ended up going to the bathroom and like sitting in the stall reading the manual, trying to figure out how to get it off of that setting. And eventually the guys on set had figured it out, and they set my camera to, normal ISO to 400. But man, it was scary. So I always play with my camera a lot before every shoot. Definitely want to have enough, like you said, cards. That's very important. I always try to have extra lighting gear if I need it, depending on what we're shooting. Always good to have Advil on set. Just never know. I tend to get headaches when I get overly inspired sometimes. And lots of water, because I did get heat stroke recently.
Oh.
Yeah. That was it was on a 14-hour shoot day, and it's been like 110 in Texas lately. And so I ended up with heat stroke, and I ended up in the hospital and actually lost my memory for a day. So that was no joke. It was very scary. My mom said I didn't even know, because she's the one that picked me up and took me to the hospital, and she said I didn't even know the dogs' names or what year it was. So I guess
no.
Rain for a day. It's terrible. I'm like, oh my goodness. So definitely don't want to mess with heat stroke. I don't think I have brain damage, but
I am so glad that you're okay, and I am so glad you had a good recovery.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like when you get off of a shoot, you've been like too hot all day. I didn't drink a whole lot because I get so in my zone. And then after the shoot, I had these chills. I guess it was my body trying to cool itself off. And then I had a high fever. And then I guess the high fever is where the memory loss comes in when you run like a 103, 104. And I'm like very much into holistic medicine, so I didn't really want to take other than Advil on occasion, but I wanted to like let my fever just run itself out, which is probably the stupidest thing that you can do. So
maybe in that situation.
Not smart. But man, it was an adventure. Definitely, it gave me a lot of saline and a lot of fluids during that time and got me back to normal. But it took about a day.
Wow.
So, crazy experiences.
Yeah, don't mess with the heat these days, right?
Man, don't mess with that heat. Whew.
Well, and it's humid down there too. It's not just like Phoenix heat where it can be 110 and it's dry.
Yeah.
Like
very humid heat, which feels hotter.
Yeah, I don't really like anything above 90 when it's humid.
No, me either. That humidity is too much.
Yeah.
This morning definitely felt like the opening of that song. I walked from the parking deck to my office space, and it was, yeah, I walked in looking like a drowned, harassed rat from how much I was sweating. It was bad.
It's a hot look.
Oh, thank you. No, it was not, but thank you.
So hot.
So hot. Woo.
Um, when when you are when you think to people who are looking either to get into modeling or who are getting into photography, what are some things or considerations that you would recommend to them? Like, what is some advice that you would give to those people?
Yeah, so you're saying photographers, people wanting to pursue photography or pursue modeling?
A little bit of both, because you've been able to interact with the multiple different amounts of models. So, just what's some advice from your perspective?
Yeah, I'd say with photography, if you're looking to get into photography, I think the main thing is you have to really, so basically your portfolio is your resume. Like I had a business resume out of school and I haven't showed that to anyone, which is kind of ironic, but you have to basically show the type of work that you want to be shooting. So you honestly have to go out and shoot the kind of work that you love for free first to be able to show that to potential customers. So you really have to go and show, create the type of work that you love, show that to as many people as possible, and you're going to start attracting those types of clients that are your dream clients, as opposed to just shooting anything and everything, because people kind of like to put you in a niche in their brain. And if you only show your most favorite kind of type of work to shoot, your favorite niche, you'll start attracting that kind of work to you. So that's kind of the way to get into the niche photography that you're interested in. And models, usually it's good to just, call up the local agencies and find out when their open calls are, and usually bring in like a headshot and then go and meet with them and just see if you're a good fit for their agency. And that's really the best way to get started with that, unless you want to just be like a quote unquote influencer type, which you just create your own work on Instagram and hustle hustle hard and get your name out there that way. I think if I were a model, I might prefer the agency route, because I think you have maybe potentially get paid more on jobs and whatnot, and they have that agent go between, so you kind of help you kind of guide you in the industry. So
You get paid sooner too.
yes, so
Yeah.
true. Getting paid is always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
What is something about what you do that makes you go, yes, this is why I do what I do?
Ooh, I think it's always on every shoot. It's that feeling when I've got that shot and just created something that I dreamed up in my head and I actually saw it come to fruition in my camera. That is like the best feeling in the world. And that's why I keep shooting and keep shooting and keep shooting, because that next shoot is like searching for that next high of that moment where I click that shutter and I know I've captured it. It's like the best feeling in the world. So love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought that was like Christmas morning level awesome
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just nothing better than that. That's
Having
for
I've only been on like a handful of shoots,
sure.
but seeing that is almost like my Christmas, because it is so visible and palpable.
It's so true.
Yeah, those wow moments are real. For a lot of times everybody at the same time, depending.
Yeah, totally. Like the whole crew celebrates. We're all like, woo, and everyone starts clapping when we've got the shot. And it's like this big moment, It's very fun. Very fun experience. It's kind of like a battle in a way, because especially with these advertising productions, you're having to get a certain amount of shots within the day. And if rain comes or whatever comes, you're not expecting it, can slow things down. Like animals slow things down. Like we just did a shoot with a poodle for a Nikon shoot. and the poodle was not cooperating at the beginning of the day and kind of made our shoot run 2 hours behind. So it's always nerve-wracking when that happens, but when you've got all the shots they're looking for and then we scream, "That's a wrap," everyone starts, cheering and clapping, and that's another big moment for sure.
Yeah.
So fun.
Trey and I do this all the time. I look to see, because it looks like he's about to ask a question. So, but I had one, so I'm gonna go. Just go, Trey. Oh! I didn't mean that kind of go. He just totally turned his camera off.
Staring act on us. It's like a plot twist.
No, go, Emily.
Do you have any big dream projects that you want to make happen someday?
Ooh, I'd love to direct a film. I'm not sure what kind of film yet. It'll either be maybe both, maybe like a health documentary at some point I would like to do, and some kind of feature film eventually. I think would be really cool to direct someday.
Awesome.
That's like a year-long project,
Sure.
It's not a week production. Yeah.
That would be
you be
awesome.
interested?
Sorry.
Would you be interested in filming, I don't know, potentially a fantasy takeover of a castle in the United States?
Oh,
yeah. That's amazing. I would absolutely be interested.
I'm glad you thought of that. You're going to explain it?
Tell me more.
I will let the purveyor of this idea, the person who started this concept, I'm going to let them explain it.
What, did I really start it? Or was it like Jasmine? No, it was Rhinos Leatherworks. Okay,
Yeah.
so like one of our very first episodes,
Uh-huh.
and this has been a while back now, which is I'm very grateful for, but we had this idea that we wanted to do, like everybody that's on the show is like our friend now, right? So we're like, cool, we're friends now. Let's go do a big cool thing together. And one of the ideas was we need a castle. Oh, because it was the castle library. The idea was to shoot in this really cool library and like the type that would be in a castle. So we thought, well, we have to take over a castle to use the library.
Amazing.
And then we want to make like a whole weekend of it, like, and just bring everybody. We'll have, musicians there to play music for us, and we'll have to have like some kind of food, and everybody can come, and like the people that want to model can model. And like I have a couple because the costuming part, I have a couple closets full of garb and dresses and awesome things they can wear. And then because I don't get rid of stuff often, and
I'm going to be calling you for future shoots.
oh, do it. It would be so fun. I'll share all my stuff with you. And and then and then we'll just do photo shoots at various places around the castle. Am I getting this right? I feel like I'm forgetting something, Trey.
This sounds amazing. Let's do it.
We need zebras.
Oh, perfect.
Well, I
I'll
think
see if I can fly him over. That would be amazing.
Sandra said Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. So, and then Kaz, one of our regulars here, our friend who, she makes armor for horses out of leather. And we thought that would be really great. So we need horses there. She has horses, but she lives in Kentucky. So we were trying to figure out the logistics of that, because everybody we know that like would be involved is from all over the country. We need to come together.
Oh, cool. I would love to do that.
Okay.
I am so there whenever this happens.
Okay, cool.
So there. I will use miles and fly myself in.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then Jasmine had the idea that she wanted to do that for Black Fae Day, and I don't know if you've heard of that. And it's a once a year celebration to celebrate blacks in fantasy and like that they are represented in fantasy, because they're usually not. It's usually like a European kind of thing. And so she really loves fairies and fantasy, and she like wanted to make something more of it, and she did successfully, and it like went viral, and it's awesome. And
Oh my god.
so they have this gala every year, and she decided, well, we're going to have it in a castle. So she did. She got her castle, and they had it in the castle, and it was
Amazing.
and we wanted to be there, but we didn't make it. There was so much going on. But yeah. Anyway, so that was
Cool.
part of it, and they are invited as well.
I
We'll
love that.
make it work.
We should. I can't wait to photograph your fashions.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'm so in for that. Seriously, I'm 100% serious.
Okay, I am too. Yes. Well, we'll stay in touch for sure then.
Yay. That would be amazing. Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think if I've photographed in a castle. I don't think that I have.
I'm surprised I didn't think of that question.
Yeah, no castles.
Me either. Well, yeah, not like for art or anything like that. Have I? The
Yeah.
castles I've been in usually did not allow photography because I was a tourist.
Gotcha.
So
I understand.
Okay, let me think long term here. There is a place in Ireland that is paying people to come and revamp castles into like they will pay you to come there. Now you are out of pocket to rebuild these homes, dilapidated homes. However, it's in Ireland. It's a castle. I mean, we could make this happen.
That's amazing.
and then we could like Airbnb it out when
There
we're
you
done.
go. So true.
And then it
That
could
would
be yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this just turned into an idea session. Thank you, listeners, for tuning into this idea session.
We have this recorded now.
We really have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our listeners will have us beholden to this.
Yeah. Modern romantic Airbnb.
Oh,
And other
Right.
creatives can come and do cool artsy photos there.
Absolutely. That would be amazing.
we could get even have it for Nicola Brown to have like one of her events at.
Oh yeah. We interviewed oh sorry, go ahead. You tell it.
No, go ahead.
No, I told the castle story. You tell this one.
We interviewed a couple weeks ago an eco-friendly printer. She will take things and she will use like things that she finds out in nature in order to do prints onto fabric. But the way that she goes about doing it is always with very eco-centric and eco-friendly process in mind. So not a lot of harsh chemicals, rarely ever, unless it's to achieve a specific effect. But she will do teaching events where she will invite like a handful of people to come in and learn from her. And it's kind of her giving back to and educating people on the benefits of eco-printing. And it's really, really nice. She's a wonderful, wonderful person.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she does really amazing work. And the cool part is that she grows her own plants and trees to use for printing because she knows which ones print well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I can't wait to listen to that episode.
Yeah, she's kind of amazing. See, we got to invite her to the castle too. I think she would show up too. I really
She
do.
would. Especially if we chose a castle that was like 20 minutes from her, and she's just like, oh yeah, this is right down the road.
I'll
All
just
right.
walk there. Right.
Well, Dixie, back to you.
I'm sorry.
No.
I love this. This is like an idea generation call. Too.
We're really good at that.
Love that.
We could
Projects rolling.
One of the questions that I have for you is, especially looking forward to your work. Now that we've had these ideas and we're looking forward to some of the ideas that we're looking forward to, what are some things upcoming for you that we can expect to see in the upcoming future?
Yeah, so I'm working on a couple of new books. I have a book out currently that's like it's like basically a how-to book. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but it's how to break into fashion photography. But the next couple of books that I do, they're going to be coffee table books. So I'm in the process of shooting those. Potentially one's going to be like a Western type of cowgirl, cowboy, since I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one, I have all these ideas. It's like figuring out which one to shoot first is always the tricky part, but something with animals for sure. And the models coming together and photographing the beast of our planet, doing more of those shoots and putting it together. So, yeah, so those are two that I'm really excited about. And just, gosh, every day is an adventure. Like this week, I'm shooting a rapper and doing his album cover. And the next week, I'm shooting for a phone company in Miami on a yacht. And so it's like every day is a new adventure, you know? And that's what I love about this business. Is you just never know where you're gonna end up.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Definitely a good gig.
So how can our listeners support you in your work or your work?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram's under I am Dixie Dixon.
Okay.
Well, to follow along and message me, text me, whatever. If you have ideas you want to collaborate on, yeah, I'm always game for that. And love connecting with other artsy folk that are into that, and yeah, anything creative minded, I'm usually game for. So
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have ideas, so we'll have to talk.
Oh, good. I know, I'm excited. This castle idea sounds incredible. So we got to make that happen.
Yeah, we've talked about it for too long now. It's been like almost 2 years.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hi.
Oh my God, it has.
I know,
Oh.
yeah.
That would be so cool.
Well, when we have it scheduled, you are definitely getting an invitation, and so many of our listeners will also be getting an invitation, so that we can have a just absolutely smash event.
I love it.
Well, Dixie,
amazing.
Dixie, I just have to say that this has been an incredible time with you here today. You are so genuine, and there's just so much happiness. We talked earlier in the episode, or like before the episode started, that you love the color yellow, and I think you really embody that color quite well with just how much like sunshine you brought to the conversation, and just how much like energy that you bring in general.
Oh, thank you so much. I love seeing your yellow pillows in your background too.
Oh, thank you.
Our sunflower colors. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I had a total blast hanging out with y'all tonight. Such a joy, and both of you are just so genuine and easy to talk to, and you made it completely non-nerve-wracking.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, this was a blast.
It was for us too. Yeah.
Can't wait to hopefully meet you guys in person at some point on this castle idea or whatever other ideas you guys have. Just shoot me an email.
We will make this happen.
Yay!
Well, as we close this episode out, this episode, along with probably every other episode, will be in memory of Joe Capone, our moderator, fellow comedian, passionate encourager, and greatly missed friend. You can find us pretty much wherever you tune into podcasts. For updates, announcements, and more, please follow us on social media under Modern Romantic. Thank you, everybody, and remember, be huggable.
Good one. Good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.